Listen, guys. It's really important, if you want to win a culture war, or you want to have your political movement succeed, leftism for example, to bring people in. You need people. You need young people, as a matter of fact. That's why the right is doing what they're doing. That's why the alt-right rabbit hole is so successful. They're bringing in young people. Young people are the future, obviously, and so if you can indoctrinate, like, teenagers, now, you're looking pretty good for the future. That's why people like Paul Joseph Watson can say, Gen Z is the most conservative generation since World War II. Like a jackass like he is. And so, there's a lot to be said about somebody on the left who can utilize an edgy sense of humor to bring young people to the left instead.
Firstly, I'll say that was a pretty good PJW impression. But more importantly, I'm curious as to where you're going with this. Your video is entitled, Why the Left Needs Edgy Creators and Why Woke Schools Are Bad. And yes, that title does hurt to say. I think something I should start off by pointing out is that leftism is not a movement. Left-wing politics covers a variety of ideologies, movements, and thinkers that have the goals of social equality and egalitarianism. You know, actual egalitarianism, not the OMG I'm not a feminist but form of egalitarianism. Leftism includes various schools of thought under its umbrella: social liberalism, left-wing nationalism, left libertarianism, and anarchism, to name a few. Further, can we maybe avoid terms like indoctrinate? Sounds really creepy, like it's a cult or something. Most people in the United States, when polled, lean toward left-wing ideas. They don't need to be indoctrinated. We just need to have these ideas put into place. Proceed.
Because one thing I have noticed about Gen Z is that we're seeing a lot less, like, centrism from Gen Z, and we're seeing a lot more extremes. Most people in Gen Z seem to be more leaning towards either, like, extreme leftism or extreme, like, far alt-right, kill brown people, shit like that, you know what I mean? And so, they have to be radicalized by somebody. I think we can all agree it's probably best if they're radicalized by the left and not by the right. This just seems like common sense to me.
You serious?
What are you even talking about? You do know that Gen Z isn't just white, straight, cisgender people, right? I can only speak for myself, as a millennial. My current political ideology wasn't based on optics, edgy humor, whatever it is you're arguing for. It was based on having a basic set of principles, educating myself, and always allowing myself room to grow. Which is why I'm no longer anti-choice or anti-gun, for example. I think if anything isn't appealing to young people, it's talking down to them like they need some new media teen idol to convince them how to approach politics.
PigPuncher, how much of an edgy gamer bro were you? I mean, oof. I love your PJW impression. Thank you, Comrade Courtney. So, when I see the people that, okay, they're gonna get mad. They're gonna clip this. They're gonna clip it, guys. When I see woke scolds, okay? When I see these woke scolds on Twitter saying things like this, I feel like dudes like this just took their toxicity to a different side. They didn't change at all. They just came over to the left. And I responded, yeah, that's the point. It's a good thing. She responded, no, it isn't. The left doesn't need the toxicity or the slurs or all the people memeing close to the sun bullshit. Okay. So, what the left needs is obviously more people. I've already said this before. Political movements need people to survive. But you can't make it a bar. You can't bar the entry into your political movement to the point of, like, saying, no, you can't say this or you can't say that. Alright? Or you can't act this certain way. You can't do that and expect your political movement to succeed. You just can't. If
you are fired from breathing! Please, pack up your desk and kindly leave live!
You know, call me what you will, a woke schooled SJW, whatever. But I don't think don't be a dick is that bad a bar to entry. Yes, don't use ableist slurs. If you misgender someone accidentally, correct yourself, apologize, and do better. Don't make racist jokes. Just don't be a dick. And when you get called on something, fix it and do better. I don't see why we have grown adults who act like this is some big ask of them. Folks, we're taught this shit in kindergarten.
you're going to get extremely offended by certain mannerisms or certain words being used, your political movement's just going to fail. It's not going to work. Young people aren't going to stop saying slurs and just hop right on board with your political movement if you're going to set a bar for entry like that. You have
Ah, sweet Jesus, it's the vegan community gaslighting all over again. Look, if you don't want people to call you out on doing shit that offends them, stop doing it. This is really not that hard. It's not a big ask to not be ableist, not be transphobic, to not be a shithead. I expect this shit from Carl wouldn't even be Rapist Benjamin, or Jeremy of Neckbeardia, or some long-lost nephew of Ben Carson. But if you like to pretend you care about justice and making the world a less shitty place, it shouldn't be a big deal to start with yourself.
to be able to show young, edgy people, mostly straight, white, angry male gamer bros, which I know you hate them and you think they're subhuman. I know, I've seen how these woke scolders talk, okay?
No, actually, some edgy white gamer bros grow out of it. It's like bullies I knew growing up. Some of them stayed shitty people forever, but a lot of them grew up and became decent, humble people just trying to survive in the world like everyone else. I think people can change, but they don't change if you pat them on the head and tell them their shitty attitudes are totally okay, as long as it's just a joke, bruh.
They say, why should we want them on the left? The reason you need them on the left is because, well, at least in America, they're the majority of the population, or at least a significant chunk of it, and there's a process here. If you can bring an edgy gamer bro who likes to say gamer words all the time to the far left, eventually, when they spend time in these leftist spaces, they're probably going to end up being more like you. They're probably going to stop saying those slurs and whatnot. They're probably going to stop being so edgy. But figures like Vosh, for example, who is the person they like to attack the most, are really good for the left. Regardless of how much you may personally dislike him, they're very good for the left. In terms of optics and in terms of bringing people in. Even Destiny. Even fucking Destiny, who isn't even a lefty. Destiny isn't a leftist. He doesn't spread leftist rhetoric, but his edgy sense of humor, his confrontational, boisterous personality, that was able to bring in so many people. Look at Faraday Speaks, whose video went fucking viral at the beginning of this year, like fucking around April or whatever. His video on his journey out of the alt-right pipeline went fucking viral. I think it has like 480,000, 500, like 500,000 views right now. He blew up from that. And when you look at the comments of that video, it's all, holy shit, I experienced the same thing. I was in the same place. I was just like you. Those are the comments that I see on Faraday Speaks' video about that. So it's very clear that this edginess is important.
And again, it's kinda shitty to make this all about appealing to the kids. It's the same kind of problem with right-wing D-bags who pretend that the reason they don't like kids learning about LGBT people existing is out of fear for them. Guess what? Just like some kids come out as gay or trans, some kids really hate hearing ableist slurs. Some trans and non-binary teens want spaces where they don't have to deal with true scum rhetoric and apologia, therefore. Some non-white teens don't find racist jokes all that funny and would rather not be made to feel like they're in the wrong for that. If you want to appeal to young people, you might start by not treating them like a monolith. Just a thought.
But it's not just edginess. Maybe you just see the edgy sense of humor, but that's not all it is. You have to mix the edginess with rhetoric, with proper leftist rhetoric. Like, if Vosh can explain why race realism is bad, while also calling the person who's perpetuating this idea a fucking idiot, and being extremely edgy and confrontational everything, the things that young people like to see, you know, the blood sports, then that's going to bring more people in than, like, I don't know, fucking Christy Winters sitting down and being like, hey, everybody, so if you look at these stats, you can see that actually, IQ rates aren't actually the reason for why black people tend to commit more crime in America. If you actually look at the stats and you look at socioeconomics, you'll see that, actually, due to things like generational wealth and whatnot, black people in America have been massively disenfranchised and even discriminated against by the state, and this is why they've really been dealt a severely bad hand in life. Like, no, that's not going to attract anybody.
Okay, I'm gonna divert for a second and talk about my own experience with this. Let's talk about Sinatra Says. He's a smaller anti-SJW YouTuber, but still has a healthy amount of subs. A couple of years ago, prior to my permaban from Twitter, Sinatra PM'd me asking to come onto his channel to debate race realism? My answer was, hell no. And I explained why as follows. Paraphrasing. Race realism is pseudoscience, and I'm not going to dignify it with a debate, as doing so would be as much of a waste of my time as debating some anti-vaxxer or Holocaust denier. I don't believe things like that should even be treated as debatable. I don't debate ex-vegans, I don't debate gender and race as social constructs, and I don't debate climate science. Treating these issues as up for debate, it hurts the respective causes more than it helps. You know what does help? Giving the pure facts. Yeah, give some humor, give a decent presentation, do your best to stay down to earth and relatable, here and there, but don't dignify dipshits with debates. And before you ask, I have actually gone on Dave Nordahl's channel, aka Warcorpse, aka Lord of Patriarchy, but that's always been 100% for my own amusement. Don't judge me.
However, Vosh or Destiny or even me getting up and saying, listen here, you fucking idiot. You realize that literally only like 50 years ago, redlining was a thing, right? You know, the state could literally fucking discriminate against black people legally. They could keep them from getting loans, from buying property. They could say, no, I won't hire you because you're black. You realize these were things, right? That happened only 50 years ago, like less than like 2 generations ago. Like, that's going to bring more people in than just, hi everybody, I'm gonna be super nice. I'm going to go into the very detailed, nuanced reasons as to why race realism is wrong. Like, you guys understand that.
Yeah, pretty sure black YouTubers have been talking about that shit for years, but heaven forbid we get the credit right. Way to go, you bastion of racial equity.
This is how this works, right? This is how rhetoric works. This is how you actually bring people in to a political movement. I feel like this should be common sense.
Again, leftism is not a political movement. It's not even just one political ideology.
I don't know, maybe I'm stupid. Christy Winters is not a leftist. No, she's not a leftist. That's also what upsets me a lot. A lot of these, like, super woke scoldy people oftentimes don't even end up being leftists. Like, look at fucking Christy Winters. She's got me blocked, I believe, but her Twitter bio says, Bernie bros get out. She's like a Biden supporter or something. Like, imagine being, like, calling yourself a progressive and saying you care about, like, the rights of poor people and of women and things like that, but then you're not willing to address the problems with the economic system, with the entire system that perpetuates the forms of oppression and that actually cause these things, right? Oh, she's a
Pretty sure people like me, Liability Lefty, Danny Course, and others do that too, and y'all still bitch at us because we have the nerve to tell you to stop being dicks.
Kamala supporter. Of course she fucking is. Like, imagine thinking that you can act like... Imagine claiming to be, like, a hardcore progressive and not actually going at the root of the problem. That's what Christy Winters is. No one has ever thought that Christy was a leftist. She's a Kamala stan, PigPuncher? No, I'm not saying that... Wait, I never said anyone thought she was a leftist. I said, how can she call herself a progressive while still not wanting to, like, tackle the problems that actually cause the issues that she talks about? Like, it's the same thing with gamer bros and capitalism. Like, they're willing to point out specific problems in, like, the gaming industry, like loot boxes and copy-pasted sequels and whatnot, but they'll just say, oh, that's, like, corrupt companies. That's, EA, that's Activision, that's, Ubisoft, so on and so on. But they won't be like, I wonder why these companies are so motivated to do these fucked up things. I wonder why. I don't know, maybe it's because the economic system we live in, like, fucking incentivizes companies to exploit the labor of their workers and to put out a subpar product at a, lower quality, higher quantity in order to meet the demand that capitalism, incentivizes. I don't know. It's the same thing with fucking liberals. You're right, Jigglypuffet. Jim Sterling is a good intro to the left for Gamer Bros. Holy shit, my mouth got dry from that. But, back on topic here. Edginess, okay? It's important. Now, there's a huge difference when it comes to, like, edginess. Like, there's a difference between just saying, like, the N-word all the time or something and, like, I don't know, just being sort of confrontational, being a big fan of blood sports and whatnot, yelling at people and things like that. There's a difference here, obviously. When I say edgy, I'm not saying, saying the N-word every 5 minutes. Like, no. That's not what I'm talking about. If you think that's what I'm talking about, then you're probably a bad faith actor. But when I talk about edginess, I'm talking about yelling, being angry, having some like dirty humor. A lot like ContraPoint's kind of dirty humor. Like ContraPoint's like makes a lot of sex jokes and stuff, making sex jokes, things like that. Also, when I say slurs, I'm talking about things like the N-word, not like cunt. I've literally ran into people on Twitter today who unironically were saying cunt is a misogynistic slur. If you think cunt is a misogynistic slur, like, I would make the normie argument saying that dick would be a fucking misandrous slur, but that's fucking stupid. If you unironically think cunt is misogynistic, then I would probably advise that you get a vasectomy. Alright, that's all I have for today. It's just, I get so fucking angry when I see the left tearing itself apart. Because it's just so upsetting, especially when the people who are doing it are like part of the groups that I'm trying to advocate for. So like when I see like a trans person who's like a woke scold, like when I see like a non-binary trans person who's also a woke scold, that pisses me off because what I do is for them, for people like them. You know, going after someone like Calvin Gara, who's a fucking true scum, who's like extremely toxic to the trans community, who says non-binary people are invalid, or trans people are invalid if they aren't actually trans unless they have dysphoria. Like, when that's what I do all day, like, I don't understand how you can possibly think that it's a good idea to attack these large public figures that are not only advocating for your existence, but are bringing more people in to do the same.
Holy shit, it's Res Please all over again. I hate that I have to keep saying this, but that's not how allyship works.
But listen, everybody. If you're trans in chat right now, especially if you are non-binary in chat right now, I fucking love you. And
Go suck a dick, suck a motherfucking dick. Suck a dick, suck a huge or small dick.
And I will never stop advocating for you all, okay? All my trans people, all my black people, all my women, all my people who are part of a group, all my LGBT cutie pies, okay? Listen, I'm advocating for you all. I love you all. You guys are the best.
This was just painful. It's up there with all the cancel culture tomfoolery. Can we, as leftists, just grow the fuck up and stop playing the victim over callouts? We all have a lot to learn. We all can grow. None of us are right 100% of the time. So please, just let this crap die so we can work on real problems that affect people's lives. Thank you all for watching, and as always, peace, love, and stay hydrated.